Hey there. So I'm going to do a bioactive terrarium, or technically it's a vivarium, because it's for animals, not for just for plants. But I'm going to do a bioactive enclosure for my ball python, Ozzy. Ball pythons are from Africa, primarily like northwest region near the equator. Sudan, Chad, Nigeria, Ghana, places like that. And we have this concept that Africa is all hot and dry because we think of all the wildlife shows we've seen that are set there. But there's a lot more to Africa than just those areas. And ball pythons are from a wide range of regions. So they need to have an enclosure that's slightly more humid than you would imagine. And here in Reno, Nevada, it's really dry. So my ball python, Ozzy, hasn't been having great sheds. And I wanted to make him a more humid enclosure to help with that, as well as bioactive to help with waste. Not that Ozzy poops in his cage very much. He usually saves it for the pool, but any little bit helps. And it's just a more interesting enclosure as well. There's lots of life, and this is just a scoop of life plopped into a container, which is really nice. So ball pythons are great, but they have a few quirks. One of which is that they're a little shy. So can you see the background? I have a background running along 3 sides of this tank. That is a photo background I just picked up from Amazon, which, by the way, down below in the description you can find a link to all sorts of stuff that I use here if you want to put together your own bioactive tank. It's actually fairly easy, and it's really worth it. So just click on the link down below to find things like this is a photo background that I use as a backdrop for the tank. It was 5 feet long by 3 foot high, and the tank total is 24 inches across the front, 18 inches deep, and 18 inches tall. And I wanted something that wrapped around because that makes it nice and secluded and enclosed and will make him more comfortable. Photo backgrounds are a nice, cheap, and easy way to do that. This is just a nice forest scene with a path going off into the distance, which is kind of nice. It's hard to find good backgrounds. I had to trim off about half of the top and then trim it just a hair from that, but then I think it turned out okay. I also ordered this background, which I thought was pretty nice too. It's made to wrap completely around a 20-gallon long tank, but it's only 12 inches high. So I figured if we filled it up almost all the way with bedding, it would fit, but I like this one better. And this was actually cheaper. But the background is really important. Below this tank, I have, this is a cord to it, I have a heating pad. It takes up about 1/3 of the tank floor, and it's underneath so that he can't touch it, it won't get dirty or anything. And it comes up through the glass. Then the heating pad is plugged into this, which is a thermostat. The thermostat, this is the plug for the heating pad. Instead of going into the wall, it just plugs into the thermostat. And then a plug from the thermostat goes to the wall. And then this leads around to this, which is a probe that measures the temperature, and it turns off the heating pad when it reaches a certain temperature. See, like when I heat it up, you can see it changing. And this particular model comes with a little hole right there so I can put a hook. Thermostats are super important because there are snakes that have been burnt by having just a heating pad. You should also have a temperature gun, and you just shoot and register the temperature wherever you're shooting. This is good because you actually need different temperatures throughout the tank. Because if he's cold, Ozzy can come over here and lay in the warm area, which should be there around 90 degrees, but Ozzy likes it a little cooler, so I usually keep it about 89, 88. And then over here, about 80 degrees. So if he's hot, he can just move over here. So a temperature gun's important to measure different areas and inside burrows and stuff like that. It's also good to have different temperature gauges permanently. Have them down where the snake will be, because he's not going to be up here. Why are you measuring the temperature there? This is a digital model from Flukers. It needs batteries, but it works pretty good. These aren't great. They're better than nothing, and they're cheap. But this particular one has let's see. This is how humid it is in the tank, and this is the temperature. And this just has a sticky pad or hook, and you can just mount it. What I have actually in here is, this is another probe, and this is a probe to a thermometer. There we go. And the cord comes up and to here. And this needs batteries, but this is what I like the best. It's a really nice, simple thing, and the probe makes it so you can be really precise over where you're getting the measurement. If you're buying an Exo Terra, which is what this tank is, they actually sell thermometers like this and hygrometers, which measure the humidity. And those are a really good thing to get because they're made to click right on top of the light fixture. And they just slide on and will stay there. And you can read them really easily from far away. And the light fixture as well is a good thing. This is an Exo Terra light, and it clicks in so it doesn't go anywhere. This is the 24-inch model, so it fits 3 light bulbs. Ball pythons don't. There's debate over how much light ball pythons need. Most people believe they don't need UVB lights like most reptiles because they're nocturnal. But some people say that they have spotted ball pythons basking, so they may need only a little bit. So use your own judgment. Have a really small UV bulb if you want. It's not going to hurt anything. If nothing else, you'll want a full spectrum bulb for the plants because they will need light. And then you're going to want to plug the lights into a timer and set it like 12 hours on, 12 hours off, because all animals do better with a timer. And if you're in an area that gets exceptionally cold, the heating pad by itself may not be enough. You may want to put a heat bulb. Just light fixture that sits up here. And you'll want to plug this into a thermostat as well. A different one. And just have it click on when it gets too cold. And you'll want a ceramic heat emitter. They have like a purple light, and they're just a really nice bulb to have on hand just in case. My house I keep really warm because I have so many animals. but most houses are almost warm enough for ball pythons. And if you get a fixture for a heat light, they get really warm, so you'll want to get one with a ceramic top. Don't get one with plastic, because they'll melt. In fact, the lid for this Exo Terra is melted in several places because somebody had a heat light up there. So you'll see I have lava rock in here. This is what I'm using for a drainage layer. So if too much water goes in the top, it'll percolate down and pile up here. So if the soil will dry out enough, it won't stay saturated, it won't cause scale rot. You can also use, this is a hydro ball, clay ball. These are a lot lighter and they work way better. And you can buy bags of them for raising plants in water, for doing things like a drainage layer. They're way better. I just happen to have the lava rock. And probably put like an inch or two of drainage. You don't actually have to have the drainage layer. It's just a nice surety. And on top of the drainage layer, you're going to want to put a screen material. This is just window screen. Old window screen. Doubled over. And try to get that drainage layer kind of flat so that it sits better. I got this a little too big, I guess. Don't want that under there. This will keep the soil from falling down into the drainage layer, because if the soil falls in and fills all the holes, then it's not going to work as drainage anymore. You can also use weed stop fabric, or they actually sell material that is a soil barrier that you don't have to cut it or anything. Those are a lot easier. The price difference is not huge. The window screen was free and I had it, so I'm using that, but whichever you're comfortable with. So there's a lot of debate on substrates. I'm going to be using ABG, which is Atlanta Botanical Gardens. And I don't know if you can see, it's a nice mix. This is, I believe that's tree fern. It's kind of nice, organic type thing. And then, well, there's just a lot of stuff in it. Everybody has slightly different versions, but they're all generally the same. It's just a nice mix. And this is really nutritious stuff with good drainage, which is important. It is a precise mix of tree fern fiber, charcoal, sphagnum peat, long fiber sphagnum moss, and fir bark. I didn't get nearly a big enough bag though of this, which I'm going to have to mix up pretty good. It's pretty nice stuff though. And make sure the screen material goes pretty good against the sides so that the dirt can't fall around the rim. So I didn't get enough of that. So I'm also going to put some Eco Earth, which is loose coconut fiber substrate. You can buy this in blocks that you rehydrate. The blocks are easier to store, and you really should just order some and always have on hand, because this is something that is really useful for most reptiles. I use it for my hissing cockroaches. I use it just generally all over the place. It holds humidity pretty well, and it doesn't rot or mold as well as some others, so it's pretty good. By the way, this is a 8 dry quarts that I'm adding to this. The deeper the substrate, the better off you are. So you can see how fibrous it is. Mix it a little with the ABG mix. You can use most substrates for ball pythons. Just try to pick ones that have good drainage, because they are prone to scale rot. They come from areas that are more humid than you would imagine. In fact, the humidity should be about 50% in here, and probably 80% in their hide, in their human hide. But, and in fact, they actually debate, there are thoughts that they go into termite mounds, which are really hot and humid, and they use those to help them shed. So this isn't quite enough. So I also have some more soil. This is plantation soil. This came in blocks. This was a 3-pack of blocks. And it's the same thing as the Eco Earth. It's just been hydrated. Let's see. Does that work? Sort of. Probably easier to do this. Oops. Well, that might have been a little more than I wanted, but... So this is probably wetter than it's supposed to be. I tend to just put the blocks in a bucket and then pour water over them until they get hydrated. And they just keep soaking up the water, and they just keep expanding. It's kind of cool. So something to pay attention to as time goes on is what your soil smells like. Like right now, it kind of smells nice in here. It's very loamy, earthy smell, which is good. Because if it starts to smell sour, that might mean you're getting rot or bacteria growth, bad bacteria growth growing. Now don't forget, this will pack down a little over time. Let's stir this a little. As time goes on, the voids will separate out a little, or will fill in a little, and they'll pack a little tighter. So you want to make it a little higher than you thought you needed. So if the soil ever starts smelling sour, you need to change things up a little. It should always smell good in here. You may want to come in here occasionally with a dinner fork and stir around the edges of the plants and hides and stuff. Keep it nice and mixed. Because if you get pockets of dead space, that's not good. And notice I'm trying to keep this area of the tank really clear, because this little area here is a latch. And I love this cage a ton, but if dirt gets in here a lot, it can be a pain in the butt for the latch to work. And there's a spring that makes the latch work, and it can rust out, which is a hassle and a half to replace. Josh's Frogs, by the way, sells replacement springs, but you have to take off this whole black part, and it's a hassle. So it's better just to try not to get anything in that hole. And also try not to drip a bunch of water right in it. It's pretty resistant to problems, but better to avoid them than to try to fix them. Okay. So there's the probe for the thermometer is back here. We've got it just at soil level. And then this probe, where he will spend his hot humid time, I'm going to stick in the dirt just right there. And the dirt will work its way up through the substrate. It'll make this whole area nice and warm and humid. But you want to watch out, because if it gets too hot there is a possibility of burning up your heating pad. So just keep an eye on it. This is another reason why it's important to have a thermostat, because you can always tell when something's going wrong, because you can see you can view it really easily. Okay, so next I'm going to put some nutrition. This is bedding from mealworms. It's called frass. Their poop, and there's their skins in there. In fact, there might be some mealworm eggs even, because I just separated it out. It's actually super nutritious stuff. And I was reading a study the other day about how this causes increase in microbial action. So you're stimulating growth on a microscopic level, which is really good. They were using this in conjunction with some fertilizer to grow crops, and they think there's good chance of using it in the future. You can also use regular worm castings. Whoops, managed to get that all over the place. Sorry about that. My computer decided it had enough and shut off. So I'm not sure at what point it shut off. I'll see when I go to patch these together, but put down drainage layer, screening material to keep the dirt out, and then ABG mix, Eco Earth, mealworm castings, or frass. Now I'm putting sphagnum moss in the corner to keep it nice and hydrated for mealworms, or for isopods, sorry. Because isopods are crustaceans and they have gills instead of lungs, so they need it slightly damper. Something important to remember whenever you're doing anything with the reptiles is you should always use a dechlorinator. This is ReptiSafe, which is a nice dechlorinator that also helps with things like the slime coat and removes ammonia. It's also got electrolytes. It's just a good general conditioner for the water. So I already added purified water to the bottle. And then this is just bottled water from the store, which works okay. Not a huge fan of this one because it's bottled down on the eastern Sierra Mountains, down almost by Death Valley. And it's not the best of area for water, but it works okay. So I'm just going to pour that over, get that really wet. And nice dampness. Normally I wouldn't do this much water, but because this is just the start, it needs to be a little wetter than it will later on. After this point, I'll basically just mist this corner a lot and water the plants that I put in there. So, and I'll have to do that regularly to keep this corner nice and damp. And to keep the humidity up for Aussie, which how much humidity depends on your area. That's why it's important to have a hygrometer. So I'm also going to spread in some dead leaves. This is live oak leaf litter. You can collect this outside, but if you do, you really want to sanitize it. Put it in the oven for a couple hours at like 250 degrees, or boil it and then let them dry, or just do what I did and buy it already packaged. You can also try, if you have something too big, you can put it in a black trash bag outside on really sunny days and just leave it there for like a week, and that should kill anything too. But it's really important because you don't want to introduce bad stuff into your tank. Things that might kill your animal, kill the bugs, the good bugs, stuff like that. Isopods really need the leaves, and I'm going to have to go back in here and replace them regularly as the isopods eat them. You can mix them a little into the dirt as well. And they can degrade. Nice little mess. Next, we're going to put in the hides. So there's a wide variety of hides you can use. Ball pythons, it's sometimes hard to find good ones for them because they can get pretty big. If you have a female especially. So you can use something like an oil pan liner. They have them at the dollar store. It's just a big black pan for oil to drain oil in. Use only a new one, obviously. Those work pretty good if you flip them upside down and cut a hole. I kind of like this. It's a guinea pig hide. It came with a bowl on the, side and a hay rack here, and it works pretty well. Or there's lots of options you can do. You can do PVC. My recommendation is to spray paint it black or brown before you use it. This is, I believe it's a 4-inch. And I'm going to put that here in the corner. Let's see. Bury it a little bit for him. I bet he'll appreciate that. he's been a little sad lately because he's got a wooden log half and he outgrew it. And he is not happy about that. Mealworm. See, it's a good thing to bury a part of an area for him, because then the bugs can come in through this area. Because where do they typically shed or go to the bathroom? Typically inside their hide. They don't do it in the open. So you want to make a nice little path for the bugs to get to it. There we go. They also sell cork rounds. Cork grows on the tree and they just pull this right off. It's the bark of a cork tree. They sell them way bigger than this, and these are really great. Really natural. They don't degrade really fast, and you can just wedge that right in there. It makes a great home. This is way too small for him, obviously. You can also use just a guinea pig igloo. It works. Pretty nice little thing. Probably tip it backwards so the opening's at the level and it's angled. Works pretty well. Or you can just buy a bowl. This was from the dollar store. Could cut off the handle and cut a opening and then sand it a little, make sure it's not rough, and then bury it. That's a really good option when they have the bowls for Halloween, because you can get some good choices then. And you can get much bigger bowls. A lot of snakes like these. These are bendy bridges. And this is nice and rough, which helps them shed. Put it like that, and he can just bury himself underneath it. And this is Ozzy's favorite thing. This is the snake hide. And hopefully he doesn't outgrow this, because most ball pythons will. It's really nice. I can just lift it up and open it. Watch out, because there are sometimes holes going all the way through, and you'll want to plug those. Not in here, it's not a problem, but normally it is a problem, because in this old tank I would fill this up and the water would leak right out. Not a problem now, but something to be aware of. But females will definitely get too big. I wish they had a bigger size of this. And inside of this is his super humid area. So I put sphagnum moss inside there. To hold the humidity, and I make sure this stays really nice and humid. And whenever he needs to shed, he just goes in here. Because I fill a bunch of it with water. Pretty good, decent amount of water to make sure that sphagnum moss is nice and wet. Oh, that's still pretty damp. Normally I just mist it, and I just keep it misted. But because this has been dry since I just pulled it out of the bag, It'll take a little bit to dampen it. He loves this thing though. This is the best thing ever in Ozzy's eyes. Because he can go in here and stay nice and warm and humid. And he loves to stick his head out and just watch whatever's going on. It's the best thing ever. And he just sits there for hours watching what's going on. And if he's sitting there and I want to feed him, it's really easy to just take a mouse right in front of it and I'll just dart right out and grab it. Because he's kind of in his hunting pose. You could feasibly use just the top half because we're making it to be humid throughout the tank. So you could just not use the bottom half and just use the top half. That would work pretty well. Now it's time for the plants. There's a lot of choices on that Amazon link down below for plants. Pothos grows really well. This is Dracaena, and that grows. This is one of my favorite plants for terrariums and stuff because it's really easy and hardy. This is Dark Mystery Pilea. You may have heard about Pilea. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's also called friendship plant because you can take cuttings and share with people. Chinese money plant is also called. This is a relative of that one. It's really pretty though. So, you don't want something that's going to get too high if you don't have a huge tank. This will stay a little lower. And these don't grow super fast, so it'll last a lot longer. So let's see, we're probably one there, and one here maybe. Ball pythons are super hard on plants because they've got just big fat bodies. So you're going to want to be careful about what you put in there because they're going to mess it up. And since this is a bioactive tank, it's good to have the real plants. But if you can't do the real plants, because honestly, animals are way easier to take care of than plants in my eyes. And I tend to kill most plants. So if you can't do real plants, you can put some fake plants. So this is a vine, and it's got suction cups. Just stick around. Watch out for the vines because some of them snakes can get tangled in and bring it all down. This is kind of a nice little plant. Or this is mandarin, and they're on suction cups, and I just stick them wherever. These are really handy ones. This is super cheap. It looks kind of crappy, but I have them everywhere because they're really cheap and easy to grab, and I just move them from tank to tank whenever I need them. So I'm going to bury these plants in the ground. Oh, and a root rot, root bound. So part of the maintenance after you do this is to go in occasionally and clean these up. You're going to cut off leaves that are dead. The isopods will help, and the other bugs, but you don't want it to look awful in there. So you may just want to occasionally go in and fix things up. really should have spray painted that PVC to make it look a lot better. We just need to water these guys in. So that Dracaena in the back, I know for sure you don't usually want to put water on top of the leaves because they get like burnt or something. They get black spots. But right now I'm watering a little differently than I normally will because I need to get these guys established. So it's looking okay. You can also use taller plants. There's a lot of variety. Next I have just a stick. And Ozzy actually likes sticks a lot. Supposedly male ball pythons have been found in trees at night stalking birds. Since males are so much smaller than females, they can be slightly arboreal in areas. These are pieces of cork, which is kind of nice. Oh wait, getting ahead of myself. Next we have mulch. The cypress mulch is actually fairly important because ball pythons have holes across their face called heat pits. And those heat pits can get stocked up with dirt. I don't think it harms them, but better just to have it nice in the first place so that they don't have that. And the cypress mulch doesn't degrade super fast, and it doesn't rot, and it's really the best choice. You can also use repti bark. Some snakes will try to dig burrows. Most of the time they won't, because usually ball pythons are the type of animals that just take over burrows they find. They aren't really a burrowing species, they just live in them. But some snakes have different personalities than others, and maybe they want to dig. It's kind of different and fun. Now, don't do this anywhere you're going to be really worried about making a mess, because this is a messy job. It's easy, it's just messy. And I got this specific brand at PetSmart, Petco, one of the two. But cypress mulch is super easy to find. You can actually even get it at the garden center, which I don't do for a lot of things because it's hard to find stuff without pesticides. But it is cheaper that way. And you want to get a really good coating. This will keep his scales from touching the damp dirt. Keep him nice and dry while still providing humidity. Because that's what we're going for. is you need humidity, but you need to keep them from getting hurt from the humidity. By the way, this is a 24-inch by 18 by 18 deep Exo Terra. If you have a female, you'll probably want to do a 3-foot long one, or a 40-gallon breeder tank if you don't want to get Exo Terra, which I'm trying to switch over all my tanks to Exo Terras because I find them so much more useful. The side opening means I can stack them higher. I can actually access the snakes a lot better. It's got a little lock that works here if you have little kids to keep them out. It's just better all around. And I found I access my reptiles way more when I have the Exo Terra, because otherwise it's undoing clips for the tank lid, which for some reason never seem easy, or unpiling whatever I have on top of it. Like, I've had snakes where I had to pile books on top of their lid because they were escape artists. They can't get out of the Exo Terra. There we go. Okay, so we got little pieces of cork we can scatter around. Just enliven the place a little. The bugs, the wood and dead leaves are important for the bugs because that's what they eat primarily. I'm going to put isopods in here that need a lot of protein, so I have to regularly feed them. But even if yours is one that uses less protein, it's still important to feed them. And then for the Springtails, they like nutritional yeast. Just a teeny pinch. And the Springtails will also eat mold around the tank as well. These are baby carrots that kind of dried out. I put back there for them. The Springtails also like rice, just uncooked rice. I'm not going to put that in there, but it's handy. It grows mold on it, which the Springtails really like. And you'll also want to put a calcium source in there. This is cuttlebone, like birds eat. And that's really good for them. Because when they molt, they need, let's see, actually I'm going to put it over here. When they molt, they need calcium. And I have to keep an eye on that and replace it as they use it up. And these are dried, clean and dried eggshells, crushed up. And those are good too. Put a pinch of those, why not? You can also use the calcium powder for reptiles. And oyster shells for chickens as well. Notice how it's looking really full? That's important because people will tell you that ball pythons don't like big tanks, but they actually do. What they don't like is a barren expanse where anything can grab them. They need hides and stuff around them. Hopefully taller plants, but I'm starting you with the cheapest basics, but hides, plants, backgrounds, those all add to a feeling of closeness, and they want to feel claustrophobic, so you just have to mimic this. This is a sea grape leaf. Found these for my isopods the other day. It's pretty cool. Kind of pretty. I don't know. Here, I guess. Next, it's time for life. I'm going to put in some earthworms. These are chartreuse. Fat, juicy red worms. I wanted to go with worms from outside, but I was lazy and I can't find anything living in the yard outside here. So these will work. Worms are really good because they're going to get down in there and they're going to keep the dirt turned, because if the dirt forms pockets without air and the air that's there goes stale, if you ever stir it, those pockets of air can be dangerous. If you ever have a fish tank with sand in the bottom, you know what I'm talking about. You can actually kill your whole tank of fish that way. But the earthworms are going to dig in and they're going to keep that dirt nice and turned for me. Come on, where are you guys? No, you're in here. There we go. And I'm trying to put them in a patch where I didn't put a lot of mulch, so they can get right down in the dirt. There you are. The more life, the better, because nature works in tandem a lot of times. And we don't always know what is needed for animals to flourish. We guess, but we miss out on a lot of the things at a smaller level. So the more the better. These are Springtails. This is a nice colony I got from Craigslist, actually. These guys are also called sand fleas. They're teeny tiny little guys. They come in different colors, and some are for colder areas, some for hot. I'm just going to tap some off here. They're going to run all over the place. Yeah. Could also pour out the water. Maybe just put a little water there. Or you can blow. You can blow them right off into the tank. They're so small it's hard to put them where you need them. Next, it's time for the isopods. And these are Porcellio Scaber Lotto mix. These are a mixture that the guy came up with. And everybody has their own mixtures. And they kind of just dump in whatever they have handy. Let's see. Dwarf whites would work well. Dwarf purples. You're probably not ever going to see them again unless they go breeding crazy. So I wouldn't worry too much about getting expensive types or anything. Let's see. Let's see these guys. Hey. Oops. So there's little orange ones. Orange, white. Hey, come here, let me see you. Try to do this. Oh, there we go. That one was white with black spots. There's some plain gray ones. Some more interesting gray ones. some like interesting different types. Let me see you a sec. They're not really participating, but see a little bit. So I'm just going to pour these over here in the damp area. If you're putting in a ton of different animals, you may want to put them in different areas, like separate the isopods so that they can develop different colonies. And if you really want to keep them and you have something that might eat them, keep them in a different container and just put a few in here. That way, if these ones all vanish, you can top them off occasionally. That's important if you have something like a dart frog where it'll eat them. Next, we're going to put in some Darkling Beetles. These are beetles that grow mealworms. Which, watch out in the future, I will be putting together a colony on how to, or a video on how to grow mealworms. Because I've got billions of these suckers everywhere. They grow really well. Really easy. Kind of cool. These guys are related to superworms. The beetles look almost exactly the same, they're just bigger. And stink bugs. And there's a bunch of different beetles in the family. So let's see. Here you go. Off, off. Put a handful of you guys in there. Next is going to be our final occupants besides the snake. These are Madagascar Hissing Cockroaches. A smaller one, and one that's getting full grown. Can you hear that? He's hissing at me. He's so pissed. And this is a boy, you can tell because he's got little horns. And I have like 200 of these things because they won't stop breathing. Here you go, bub. In you go. They are a pain in my butt because they just keep breeding and breeding and breeding. Versus the dubia cockroaches that were supposed to be feeders for my bearded dragons. I thought they were all dead. And I went in the other day and I found out there's a few of them left in there. So I have no clue what's going on with those guys. Hissing cockroaches actually make really awesome pets. So this would be awesome just for a hissing cockroach tank. Come on. So this one's too small. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Kind of hoping it's two boys. Because maybe then I won't get 1,000 hissing cockroaches in there too. But they actually work great as pets. That's what I got them for originally. Because they're really personable. And they're just the right amount of friendliness. They're really cool. So next is an important step that most people would skip. It's called labeling the tank. Because if you don't label the tank, you're probably going to forget exactly what's in here. You might remember, maybe, but probably going to forget at least somewhat. So labels are important. So first, we're going to put the proper name for the ball python, Python regius. If you're in the US, they're typically called ball pythons. In the UK, they're usually called royal pythons. And there's a story that they're called royal pythons because Cleopatra used one as a bracelet, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me because ball pythons are pretty fat. Maybe hatchling? I don't know. Like, they're better snakes to wear as a bracelet. I don't know. And since Ozzy is a male, I've labeled it says 1.0.0. The first number represents how many males in the tank. The second number, how many females. And the third is unknown. So 1 male. Just Ozzy. And he's just about a year old. And he's just over 2 feet. So this should be a good size for him. And then the proper name for Madagascar Hissing Cockroaches, which I have no idea how to pronounce that. Dorina portentosa hissers. So I like to put the proper name in whatever I call them. Because if I just put the Latin name, I probably wouldn't remember what it was referring to. And I love my little label maker. It's really awesome. Tenebrio molitor mealworms. Labels are just a good thing. Where are you going, buddy? You gonna explore? So, my snakes shouldn't bother the hissing cockroaches. They're slow. They are cold-blooded. They aren't... ball pythons hunt by heat, so they really shouldn't bother those. But if they do, they do. We'll see. And then the isopods, the Porcellio Scaber Lotto mix. Finally, we got Springtail label. And I don't know what specific Springtails these are. There are different types. But like I said, I just picked these up off of Craigslist. I was just happy to find cheap local ones. There we go, we got labels. Next, it is time for Ozzy. What, do you want to come out? That hissing cockroach really wants to come out. Ozzy almost never balls up like this, but he's pretty upset tonight. He's trying to shed, and can you see he's not shedding really well. I took his favorite hide out. I've been bothering him. He just wants to lay in his hide and shed. Leave me alone. He never balls up like this, but he was inside a way too small hide that I had to put in there. Hey! Hey! You can really see the shedding problem, stuck eye cap. Got that one off, but this one's still stuck on. I'm gonna have to give him a bath and help with that. But for now, here you go, baby. What do you think? By the way, if you have a shedding problem, I've been using this. It's Repti Shedding Aid. This with baths seems to help. This is kind of like a lotion to stimulate them, or to help loosen the skin. It's not a replica, or a remedy for having the proper humidity, but it's better than nothing. pretty easy cage. And it's really worthwhile to do a bioactive. Oh, I guess the hissing cockroach really likes that leaf. Huh. And Ozzy's just sniffing the dirt, I think. Oh, perfect. Hissing cockroach pathway. So hissing... Oh, are you going to walk on him? So hissing cockroaches need a different humidity than ball pythons, but mine have gotten acclimated to having kind of whatever I give them. Like I said, these guys are just growing at astronomical rate. So I think he'll be okay. Hey, little buddy, you really like that log. He's really getting around, huh? Versus Ozzy. Hi, Oz. What do you think? Do you like it? He's like, I don't know. Look at the puppy dog face. Oh wait, no, he looks like he's on Neverending Story. Huh, you kind of look like you're on Neverending Story. The wolf hiding in the den. Do you like that there? How do you feel, huh? And the hissing cockroach is going down inside. What do you think, Oz? Is this fun? You gotta stay in there, sweetheart. Where are you going? It's something new. And ball pythons are really shy, and new stuff scares them, so it might take a little while before he's 100% comfortable. And really, if you have the option, it's a good idea to let the whole tank sit for a month to get settled before you put your animal in. If you have something other than ball python, it gives them time to start breeding and find hiding spaces. He's not going to eat the isopods or things like that, but otherwise, normally it would be important to give him hiding spots. Because if you just put a toad in here, the toad would eat all the bugs right away, and then you're kind of out of luck. He is completely fascinated by that background. I don't know how well they can see, but when I put him out in here earlier, when it was empty, he just kept looking at the background. Oh. Okay. Are you going for a ride? So I really want to make sure that the hissing cockroach doesn't, like, eat him or something. They shouldn't. They don't eat that much protein. But it's always a concern when you put multiple species together. Ozzy's like, what in the world are you doing? Are you really trying to figure out what's going on, huh, baby? Huh? It's just me. Just me. I know my hands smell like dirt too. Okay, come on. Here. The hide you like? Look. Look, it's your hide. you go, baby. He is really alarmed. It'll take him time to settle in. Just sitting there trying to figure out what's going on. I really wonder how much they can see, because they keep looking at that background. Does it just reflect light weird? Because that's something you need to be aware of when you're doing backgrounds. Because you don't want a mirror effect. Hey. Smelling the leaves, huh, baby? Or are you gonna take the path, huh? Take the path into the distance. And this guy keeps going all over the place. Hey buddy, you're getting blurry. Getting a little close up and blurry. Doo, doo, doo. Nope, you're not going anywhere, buds. Oh, Ozzy is checking them out now. What do you think, Oz? Oh, didn't like that at all. Huh, some weird thing touching you. The hisser's like, oh, what happened? If he becomes too big of a problem, I'll take him out. Usually they're friendly, but not that friendly. So I don't know why he keeps trying to climb on top of the snake. I'll do an update at some point in time, so you know whether they coexist pretty well. I think I'll call the hisser Felix. Seems like a good name for him. Not sure where the other one went. He's not bothering the snake at all. You really are just going to keep bothering him, aren't you? Why? I think they just happen to be wanting to be in the same places, and they don't register the other as a living being. A lot of times animals are like that. Get back in there. Yes, the hissing is actually really effective for scaring off predators. Because even knowing it's coming, it still makes me jump every time. Well, I'm sorry you can't climb out. He is pissed now. And Ozzy's just like, what in the world? Back in. Well, Ozzy, do you like it, or do you want it to be for the hissing cockroaches? I think you like it, but you're really not quite sure yet. Where are you going? Where are you going? Sorry, Oz. So something I may have not mentioned before I started is that I cleaned this tank really well because I got it used. Get back in there. I used soap and water, just Dawn dish soap, the blue stuff. That's safe for animals. Then I washed it out really, really, really well. And then used watered down vinegar in a spray bottle. Just spray bottle of vinegar. This is my main cleaning agent. And I do about 1/3 of vinegar, 2/3 water. And I clean everything with that. It's handy, it's cheap, it's easy. It removes smells really well. And then after that, I used Wipeout. This is a spray to clean terrariums and small animal cages. It's a disinfectant cleaner and deodorizer. I don't really find that it cleans. I clean with the vinegar and then do this to disinfect. And you just spray it and wipe it off. I usually let it sit for a couple of seconds to penetrate through. And then I rinse with a little more vinegar water just to make sure it's all okay. But I did that before I started this. Because if you have bad bacteria growing on your tank, all you're doing is giving it the perfect place for it to grow more. So you want to start with a really good clean tank. Fly in there. And so that's a bioactive vivarium for Ozzy. Let's put his label on the door. Go. Ozzy! See if I can do this with one hand.